Welcome to the Life and Leadership Podcast, where we discuss business, leadership, and friendship. I'm Zach Gable.
And I'm Jared Toach. Thank you for joining us today.
Welcome back, everyone, to another podcast. Thank you for joining us. We are actually back here still with Shawn Collins at Extend Group. We are recording 2 podcasts today. So, Shawn, thank you again for being with us, and thank you for allowing us to use this wonderful studio. And how are you guys doing today?
I'm good.
Good.
Still good.
Good. Still good.
Yes. No, conversation 1 was amazing, and just looking forward to,
Conversation 2.
Conversation 2, and hopefully being of value. I learned a lot during the first one. So thank you for
Same.
going for round 2 here.
Yeah. Let's do it. So we did want to structure this one a little bit more. I know there is no structure when we're all passionate about leadership. There's no structure. We just go. But I wanted to start out with a question for you, Shawn. I know you work with businesses and leaders, and correct me if I'm wrong, or you can actually walk us through it, but you will step into a team and kind of do an evaluation and help teams and leaders along their journey of building the best that they can be. And so my question along that line is, what are some of the most common challenges that you see teams and leaders facing in the workplace?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, we're in a noisy world, but I think it, not to circle back to the first podcast, and it's really, it all starts with that self-awareness. Like, once again, a portion of it is like, how self-aware am I in this situation? To either as a new leader, am I trying to prove myself? Am I trying to come in and change everything? Or, am I willing to be interested for a bit before I'm trying to be interesting? Like, there's that mindset of, I have a lot of vision and I have a lot of talk. Are you doing it to me? Are you doing it with me? Are you going to do this, like, experiment, if you will, to me or with me? Mm-hmm. And it's just the self-awareness of how everything is really a relationship equation these days in the economy that we're in. And trying not to do too much right now. Like, the saying of, if you want to go fast, do it alone. If you want to go far, do it with a group. Mm-hmm. And, my fear is that we are so digitally connected. It's 24/7, 365, like answers at the, just me being able to speak and then, chat or whatever it is, giving me a big, like, dissertation on why this cup is black. And I can get that now, and I feel that I can launch that business, or I can change the vision, or I can change the mission, and I can change where we're going just like that. But we're not wired like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, we like to say at Giant, there's 5 key areas that make the organizational flywheel spin. And I want you to think about it as a flywheel that have 5 key counterweights. And the first one is communication. Are we good communicators? Mm-hmm. Do we really communicate formally, informally? Do we calibrate our communication in such a way that it's not me-centered or my label-centered? And how often am I having that? Am I, welcoming people into the seats and saying, here's your laptop, here's your computer, go, and then I'll see you in 6 months? Or, like, how can we let them know how we communicate, mm-hmm. and objectively communicate, not in a feeling way, a subjective way, but an objective way? And then how are we building meaningful relationships? We talked about relationships for that whole last hour, right? Mm-hmm. And how well do we know our people for who they are, not what they do? Mm-hmm. And being able to get that shared vision of being the liberating leader, of being able to fight for their highest possible good. And that's the relationship part. And then I think if you understand that how often and how frequently and how intentionally we communicate and how intentionally we build relationships, then it comes to alignment. And the third part of the flywheel is alignment or trust. Like, if I meet and I communicate my intentions and where my vision's going and how we do that through the vision or through the mission and how we have the non-negotiables that are our core values, and we have all that transparency that we talked about, there's a level of trust there that we know how far, where our lanes are at and how far maybe we can get outside and when it's time to get back into the lane. And that does then impact the fourth counterweight, and that's really execution. Are we delivering on time, talent? Are we delivering on budget, on time? Are our clients happy? What is our game plan? Mm-hmm. Here's the X's and O's. Here's the playbook. Here's where we're going to go. And then the fifth counterweight in this bearing, if you will, that's spinning, going to the automotive world, if you just spin it, is capacity. And do we have the time, talent, and treasure to deliver all of that?
Yeah.
And where we get sideways is when we're really heavy and we've put a lot of weight in communication and measuring everything through execution. We just get this laggy spin bearing that has 2 and 3 that are off. Mm-hmm. But if we were really to focus on communication, relationship, and trust, who can argue that great communication is a bad thing? Mm-hmm. Like transparent, objective communication. Who can argue that, my people trust me? Like Project Aristotle and Google shows that people don't come in for more money and more, like they come in for psychological safety and know that they're going to be empowered and they have the authority and responsibility to do their job in such a way that's going to move the organization forward. And when they have that psychological safety, or really, once again, trust, they're willing to go as long as, and because they know there's going to be that moment that they get to recharge or whatever that is. So the thing that I always go in and really evaluate first is, number one, like how well does the leader know themselves? Mm-hmm. And really, how willing are they to say that I built this company so that I could do all these things outside, and guess what? You might be working when I'm doing them. Mm-hmm. Or my vision is to get us here, and we're in 6 different cities, and you know what? Maybe we're going to be headquartered in Indianapolis in 6 years or whatever. But my vision is this, and this is what I'm computing. And if we get there, once again, going back to the liberating leader, maybe they don't want to do that, but they have to fully communicate the owners, the operators, whatever it is like, this isn't just to build my bank account so that you can sit in here and work all day while I am out playing golf. And that's typically the mindset. Or, this leadership thing is, my people, the people that I'm protecting, that are my friends that I've hired into positions first, who here hasn't started a company or like said, I'm going to bring my family in to help, or my best buddy. And I can promise you that goes extremely wrong. Yes. Like, I have ruined so many close, it is very bad. Don't
Stay
unless
away.
you have,
Stay away.
Well, unless you have real, like, you've had the hard conversations up front. Like, there are going to be times where this is the way this works. And, I know that we're friends, but this is the way it's got to operate. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We have to be clear. We have to be objective. And as leaders, we have to be able to, I said it in the first podcast, really do have, like, I think self-aware leaders do have nothing to prove, nothing to hide, nothing to fear. And I'll get a lot, I get a lot of flack about that, especially in in some different sectors. But, I do have I have a few fears, but my fear is getting to the end and not hearing, well done, my good, and faithful servant. Yeah. Like, number one. But at the end, we have to have that mindset around, I'm not here to have people to do my bidding. I'm here to serve. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean a serve in such a way that I'm going to protect individuals just so that I get what I want for a while until I find the next version of them because they fit my type profile or whatever. Or I'm just going to walk in and coach my team the way I was coached back when I was in, 6th grade or 5th grade, and that dominating, like, run it down everybody's throat, and there's going to be 6 people behind you, and we're going to be the alpha team. Like, they last for a while. And if you'll notice, those alpha teams, actually, they replace 9 out of, well, not 9, they typically replace 6 out of the 12 individuals that are on that team every year just trying to find the next talent. And then they burnt out 6 other young ladies or young men or whatever, trying to get them to be something that they weren't. When I'm going to say this, I can take the B team, and with some real intentionality, it's been proven. I take the B team with great management and great self-awareness and great intentionality, and develop every player, and we will beat the alpha team that's tired. Like, on their best day, we won't. Yeah. But if we play in a long series of games and we're really intentional, like, we can take the shots and we can outlast them because they turn on themselves.
Yeah. And to bring it to the business world, if you're hiring for strictly talent, you're going to end up with internal issues and a team that does not work well together, most likely. And we've had that in the past in our business. We hired for talent and very quickly found out that that's not the way to hire, because most talent, especially in our industry, can be trained. But you hire for what's a good fit to the team, and then you build on that and that talent. So a question for you on the communication. I think communication was number one.
Yes.
You mentioned. So different industries are harder to communicate than let's say an office or a classroom where essentially everyone's in one building. And so I think it was Brad Niemeyer, co-CEO of AZIP.
Yeah.
I was in a meeting with him here a few months ago, and that was brought up, the challenges of having different stores and how to keep each of these stores, and especially the different shifts and all the different. It's very hard, if not impossible, to get everyone in one room at one time, but maybe once a year. Very similar to, in a different way, similar to our industry, where we have drivers, we have the field, where we have drivers and mechanics, and then we have the office staff. The office staff is very easy to communicate with and to have sporadic meetings, but to try to get everyone under one roof, all drivers, mechanics. We have drivers that start at midnight and mechanics that work till midnight. So
right.
24 hours a day, 5 days a week, we essentially have someone on the clock at all times. So can you speak to that as far as communication goes in an industry where it's not as easy as everyone working 9 to 5 in one building?
Yeah. In today's 365, 24/7 world, I don't know that anybody has an 8 to 5. I don't think the typical 9 to 5, unfortunately, exists. And Zach, with where I've been, and whether it's an architecture company or a plastics polymers company or a roofing company, painting company, an automotive brand, or, you know what, I hear the same thing from every leader. We just don't have time. We just don't, we do, it is something that soon I'll be talking about and looking at, but time, if you can show me your calendar, I can tell you what's important to you.
Yeah.
Right? And the question is, if you're not able to shut it down on a weekday, let's just say when production's going to happen, or you have a team who doesn't want to come in on the weekends, the question is, what are we doing it for? To me, I know that, and one of the biggest TikTok videos that I got a lot of flack for was being this word family, and family is being it's trying to wrap a mindset around being at work. But if we do have communication, we are building a relationship, and we do trust, we know that our time together is going to make those 5 months, 6 months that we are grinding together more meaningful. And as much as I hear it and I see it and I know it, what does it cost you to replace 2 people that have been with you for 9 months that are already burnt out from your first vision experience, right? So when we look at productivity and we have all these shifts and we have all these things, I know if we're not willing to go time out and do what we did last week. Like last week I had an organization in, and like I think there's a quitter's day now, like January 3rd.
Oh, wow.
There is a quitter's day.
did
Like
not
it's
know
either
that.
January 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. That by the time you get to January, like let's just say the first week of January, like 60 to 70% of the people who started a New Year's resolution have failed. It's only like 3 to 6% that make it to the finish line.
Wow.
So the question is, if we have this vision that we're continuously seeking, if we're always running, this is Dan Sullivan, Gap in the Gain. Read it, like another book that changed my life, because I was looking at 10x is easier than 2x, and everybody talks about 10x is easier than 2x. Find the 20% to bring in 80%, and then focus more. Just go backwards to find where you were great, and then systemize. But if we wake up every day and we continue to communicate what the horizon looks like, when do we ever really get to a horizon? Like if I wake up every morning and I run as hard as I can to the horizon, it's still as far away today as it is tomorrow and the next day, and then the weather changes and things get bad, or then we have beach and then we're all running. If we don't set time to be intentional with the people who actually who live the mission, who should identify with our core values, which are our non-negotiables, understand that our time together, whether it be during office hours or on a Saturday at a retreat where we rented a pretty nice space, we didn't bring them into the normal conference room that we have, or we did it, but we brought in a food truck, like we made it, an experience where there's also some, we have this 5 gears concept where there's some time during that where they can all just talk amongst each other and gain relationship. Then there's 4th gear time of, hey, let's go through and exactly talk about all these processes. And then the 5th gear is, this is the one challenge that we need to face, and we need to face it this quarter. And face it head on together, instead of me communicating what everybody needs to execute because the spreadsheet looks this way, or our customer service satisfaction. Like, if it all gets communicated in this way, and we do have informal and formal. But if you, like my last, we have this relational dynamics newsletter that goes out, and it talked about the power of the medium. If we're only communicating through text and email, we're only getting 5 to 10% of what we really are expecting to be done. Then we get to like phone calls, which is more, teleconferences or whatever. Then we get to the Zoom. But then if we want transformational time, we are humans. As much as I want to be the one that says I'm a creative pioneer guardian, Zach, and I want everybody to just read the darn email and get on Basecamp and see what I put in the project brief. And if you just follow the plan works, people, right? Like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
To me, in my mind.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is when I bring them together and I say, hey, how clear was that plan? They're like, we're at 60% fog and 40% visibility today.
Yeah.
Because you were very aspirational of where we're going and how we're going to get there, but all the stuff that you need me to do, you didn't even ask, right? Or you didn't know that we had this problem back in maintenance. We didn't have this problem in logistics. We had this problem in our books aren't we're not cash flow positive right at this moment. We have a lot of new contracts that came on, and that what you think is already in the bank isn't in the bank yet. I hope that I'm answering it, that if you don't have time for your people, they don't have time for you.
Yeah. So true.
It doesn't matter what industry it is.
Yeah.
There's a phrase, and some people get a little bit thrown off by it, but seeing time as a friend versus an enemy. So my time is my best friend, because if I'm taking the time to spend with you, that's the best investment of my life. Like, that is my friend. Like, it is my friend, versus an enemy. Like, I don't have time. It's always seen, like, time is seen as a negative always.
Yeah.
Versus, no, it's actually your best friend. Like, time is like the moment that whatever that encounter is, whether it's an encounter that you have at the cooler, or whether it's an encounter with the person that's sitting in the cubicle next to you, or whatever it is, that time is your friend. It's how you enter that space with that person where time becomes your friend. Because you had that chance to have that encounter, time has become your friend.
Yes.
That time spent. And it's whether you see it as I'm rushing into my cubicle to get my job done and could care less about those people that are around me, I've got this agenda going on, or you see that time that I get to walk through that, and I'm just using like a cubicle office building space, or you see that time as a point in your day that you can make connections with people around you.
Yeah.
And you see that as your friend versus this rushing space. I'm getting to the next thing and I've just got 5 minutes to do it to get there, but actually I have 5 minutes to touch multiple people around me.
I don't think time will be your friend, though, if you don't control your time.
Yes.
And plan your time. It's similar to what you were saying, is that there's business owners or leaders that say, I don't have the time to meet with the whole team. Well, if you don't make time, time's not going to be your friend, because you'll never just fall on a time where you'll have everyone available and it's, but being intentional. We talk a lot about being intentional. Being intentional with your time, and it'll be your friend.
So you said another thing in there, which this is a key word for me that I've really been like just mulling over for the last couple of years, but it's the word transform versus like change.
Yeah.
So if we are seen as somebody transforming, in my mind, is a continuous action. Like, it's always like you are transforming and you are changing from the inside, your organization, but transform is different than change.
Yes.
Because if I can change my action, but I can change how I walked into the building, because you said I need to change how, but if I transform how I come enter a space, that's a total, like, I have now embodied that.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a
No,
whole other rabbit.
No, it's great.
But
That's
I mean,
so
it's
true.
just but it's the same thing when you look at time. If you transform your view and perspective of the time that you have with your employees, with the people around you, that's an internal, like, that's a whole, that's not just making up, like, we're changing things up. Like, no, it's from the inside out. Like, it has transformed my interactions.
That's good.
Yeah, it's the intentionality of, like, the leaders think they're, even in, let's just say in signing contracts, right? In a marketing perspective, and Extend's been in marketing, communications, digital, and all that for a long, long time, as I talked about. 17 years is a long time. I always say great marketing makes a bad product fail faster, because, the pioneer is going to say, if we put on 75 more customers at $100,000 a click, then, we've already got this deficit over here. The question is, if we're already in a deficit, how are you going to put 75 more contracts into like, you're promising more, you're just throwing more at a transactional, like, moment in time to get that, we're not looking at the key people indicators of, can we actually manage a sales funnel that in order to get to the 100 or the 75, we actually have to interview and prospect and glean 500 new prospects and then intentionally drive into that
Yeah.
of if we really did have a way in which we had a strong culture where everyone knew how to communicate, we already have a community of advocacy, like that bottom funnel that is willing to recommend us when we are in a time of need. We typically go to our people only when we need them to say, hey, who do you know that needs, their car service today? Because, who's got oil changes? It's the B&I thing of like, how about we, like, and I love like where we're at and what that does, but the mindset is around a referral. Think about referral versus introduction. Like if your people love your brand, how many people, if you were to have 40 employees that loved where they worked, and let's just say they have 3 kids and they all play on travel teams, and then, they're active in theater, they go to church, like, what marketing do you have? What marketing need do you really have that you need to run a social media campaign? Or you need to have, like, it's great to have it up there for a pride perspective, but if your people are really activated and they are an advocate for you because they know that the more comes in, the more this, too much is given, much is, required. Like, we're going to be able to give you the time, talent, treasure that's required, that second and third, like, how we execute, or the fourth and fifth piece, the execution and capacity, we're going to give you more to be able to do more. It's not this team gets to handle 75 more people, 75 more clients. Like, we can't handle the 50 we have right now. So how are we going? Like, I know you have debt, and I know you have self-doubt, and I know you have all these things that you might need to be garnering as a leader to get to the finish line, that I'm going to pay off my debt, that I'm going to pay off this, or, we have this contract that says if we don't deliver this, this, and this, then, we're not going to get our bonus. Well, I mean, how long are you going to dip into the pocketbook where there's nothing? You can't, like I said earlier, you can't give what you don't possess. So you can want to give $100,000 all you want, but if you got $1,000 in the bank, we're in trouble. Right? Yeah. So that time is the most precious with our people. Because if we're not really, if we just keep saying we are the answer instead of empowering them to have the authority and responsibility, if we cannot get out of the operator seat, we are always going to be transactional. We're going to be on a hamster wheel to the next contract, to the next city, to the next destination, to the next expansion. And there's a lot of movies that show what that individual that's been on that road. We can always say that we're going to get to retirement, we're going to live long, healthy lives, but they just can't let go, and they just continue. And like, there is no like, well, I do what I love. Well, if that's really the case, then you're living, more of a discipleship, and hopefully you're looking at it as a way in which you're building a community, and you're multiplying leaders that are better than you. Hopefully you build somebody that becomes your competition because you're doing it wrong and you empowered them to do it. Non-competes, aside, and all those things. I get businesses invest and whatever, but if you multiply somebody to be your competitor, number one, you didn't have the relationship anyway. Because they know they can do it better in a way that most people that start businesses, they do have some risk. They love risk. Like you said on your personality profile, like this said that I don't like, if we really know our business and know how to do it, we can get people empowered to do it with us and run it around. And long story short, if you can show me your calendar, you can tell me what's important to you. And if it's all about new business development, and it's all about being on stage, and if it's all about whatever, there is some real broccoli in your teeth back at the office. So
I think it's, I wrote, and I like this kind of concept or idea about whether you're doing at or to people or with individuals. And I think that goes a long way. Like if you're doing with your team, once again, it goes back to that relationship piece. You're empowering once again. You're learning and growing together. It's a much more cohesive environment and work space to be in. And you are tapping in on the talents and experts. So also, you're not inviting somebody to go and do something far better than you and to be your competition, because they're making the organization great, and they're going to stay with you because they want to make that organization that they're with the best thing out there.
Yeah, and if you weren't willing to stare them and actually, once again, that being interested, like, why would you want to lead? Like, what have I equipped you with, the proper amount, support, and challenge? Like, while you're here, am I calibrating my support and challenge the way I expect for it to be calibrated, or have I calibrated to you? Do I give you the tools, resources, and everything you need to do your job? Yes. Okay. Then what is the reason? People don't. I mean, it's cliche, and I see it on LinkedIn all day, but it's so true. People don't leave their job. They leave people because there's no trust. The communication, relationship, they don't leave a job description. They leave the person who's managing the job description, because there's always that line that at the bottom and says other activities as required. It's all everybody's job, and if you have that, and you can't, like, I struggle with it as well. Like, I want people to come in and know the whole spectrum of marketing. I want them to know social. I want them to know CTV, OTV, like how it all works and how it all plays, and what is WordPress and what is SharpSpring and how do they all work and what is the playbook, and because it all is an ecosystem. But you know what? SharpSpring's deep enough for one person to spin, and that's a CRM tool. Like, it's deep enough. It's like a Salesforce. It's deep enough for one person. Probably needs 3 people to really manage it effectively to be able to hold the organization to its key performance indicators. If we were really going to say, I want to light a fire in you to be my SharpSpring expert, instead of light a fire under everybody and say, take care of it all. Which fire is most important? They're all going to burn the place down.
That's a great analogy, because it's the truth.
So, yeah, I don't. If every fire is important, like, which one do you put out first? And if you really did say, oh, I've multiplied myself 6 times, 6x, then those fires get put out pretty quickly. But if I'm running around and everybody's following me to go to fire 1, fire 2, fire 3, fire 4, the place is already burnt down by the time we get to 3.
Yeah. It's, once again, goes to that empowerment piece. I mean, no one is empowered. They're just not blindly, but they're just following you.
You're just showing up saying, tell me what to do, superstar. Tell me what to do, boss.
And then once again, it leads to that space where we're not leaving. We're leaving because of the trust issues. We're leaving because of the environment, the spaces, the people. We're not leaving because maybe it wasn't a field or something that we weren't passionate about.
And no defined goals, too. Like, uncertainty. If you don't have defined goals, you're going to have uncertainty. And people, it's the trust, the uncertainty. People don't want to live their lives like that. And a career is a large part of our lives.
You can get through a lot of tough things in an organization because I'm sure your organization saw it through COVID. A lot of organizations, saw like changes, major shifts in how we operate and function. But you can make it through as an employee, as an individual part of an organization, if the team is cohesive. You can make it through a lot of tough spaces, a lot of downturns, uphills, because you've kind of been through the good and the bad and the ugly, right? So I think that part is, if you have that trust within the organization, you can make it through a lot of tough times and weather it. But if it's not there, then I'm out. Because I'm not going to go through the...
That's a perfect segue into my next question. Knowing who you are, knowing who your company is. So how important is it to have a defined mission statement, core values, and vision statement?
To
get through those tough times like COVID, you can't just wing it. So how important is it to
It is a root. If you don't honor the past as you move forward to the future, once again, it's like what I talk. It's about running to a horizon that shifts daily, that looks different. It's the challenge that I really do put all businesses. I really do say, like, if you're going to come to Extend and you want marketing, communications, or whatever. It is the foundation of everything of which we speak, everything of which we do, and everything of which any dollar really gets activated. You know, organizations typically, it's a people. It doesn't have, they can have systems processes or whatever, like there can be logistics or whatever, but everything is understanding. It's a people problem because we don't understand what we're doing today that gets us to tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And it's like the equation, like I think I talked about it at our B&I group. Maybe you weren't there for that one, Zach, but it was like, let's all get in the car and drive across the United States from Chicago all the way around the perimeter, and let's not stop. But let's just keep going, and like, we're going to have the bottles in the car. We're going to stop at McDonald's. We're going to do all this stuff, and let's just get in the car and let's go. Like, by the time you get to maybe Montana, people are done.
Maybe.
Like, we're a third of the way in here, right? And I don't know if a third's right. I'm just, creative speaking. But by the time I get to Montana, everybody's like, let me out of this car. It stinks. Like, I got to do this. Like, I need to take a walk, people. And we just keep, nope, get back in the car and let's go. Let's just keep going. And it is, like, I hear it a lot in community development, right? Like, how many visions has any one community that we live in went through in the last 10 years? There has been so much visioning by a lot of organizations. Like, there are 4 or 5 organizations that have done all this visioning, and now we just came out with a new master plan. And now the question is, when are we going to live out the one that we built first?
Yeah.
So I look at it as, it's great, Zach, Jared, that you tell me your vision for the future, but where are we today? Where are we, you can go through the SWOT analysis and go, what's our strengths, what are we, opportunities, threats, and all that. But, okay, that's where we're at. So change is dissatisfaction with the status quo. Mm-hmm. Okay? In a way in which I can wholeheartedly communicate my vision. My vision to get out of this nasty spot that I'm in, and then natural next steps. But as soon as the natural next steps get difficult, we vision again because, the strategy was wrong. The strategy was wrong. Like, oh my goodness, like, you know what? Like, I'm now the leader. It took 3 years to even get halfway or a third of the way to where, like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to save today, and here's a new vision, and here's a new... And then, you know what the fact is like, if you're going to change a community, you better go to your neighborhoods first and get them self-aware. Mm-hmm. Because before they show up to a town hall meeting, they have to, like, everyone in that borough, neighborhoods, hopefully they know who they are and the challenges they're facing.
Yeah.
And how they communicate that in a community place before we go and say, let's just change the way in which we function again, throw more money, throw more time, and you know what? We're throwing the baby out with the bathwater at that point. Mm-hmm. Because guess what? I'm going, and this is the servant leader, I'm going to be a servant leader and I'm going to listen again. How about we actually hold steady and hold fast and look at where we're not operating on that, strategic plan? Where is it not going right? And really go in and find the relationships that are off, the ones that aren't self-aware, that don't know why they're operating. Mm-hmm. Maybe they all think about skill, but it's others' awareness or self-awareness that they don't understand. Why don't we just focus? And this has been part of my journey. Like last year, at the end of the year, I don't want to have the New Year's resolutions. I just pick a word. Mm-hmm. So last year was plow. Like, it was hard. What happened? Like, when you walk out into to a field and you're hooked on, the mule, whatever it is, and and you just keep looking that way and looking like, oh, nice tree. Oh, nice farmhouse. I want to live in that one day. And then, oh, look at that 392 Charger Hellcat that just went by. Like, and we're just like, and we got our headphones on. We're just jamming, right? We get to the end of our row. What does it look like?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's here. It's there. It's like, okay, well, give me like 2 things that we really want to accomplish in a year. Mm-hmm. Give me some, like my whole thing last year was structure. Like, how do we take, like, I've created Extend Performance, Extend Community, Technician Academy, Auto Parts University. Like, I've created all these digital assets and all these things that are out there. And I did it because I just showed up every day and said, oh, with my team, here's another opportunity, and here's a new business, and here's a new business, and here's a new business. So I just took last year and just said, how do I get to a destination in a structure mindset only of all those things are back and thriving and healthy again? Mm-hmm. Like, I invested 17 years. How do I not take on one more community? Like, how do I know what is enough for me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? My vision for December the 31st, 2024, what do I need to get to? Where am I at? And then how am I going to be able to celebrate along the way? I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not going to get there, but hopefully I'm a baseball softball. Hopefully I'm batting 300 when I get there. And I have ways in which I just learned from what not to do that takes me to this year, which is standard. Mm-hmm. My standards, like, what are my core values?
I love that email, by the way, that you sent out. That's great.
Yeah, like, what are my non-negotiables? Mm-hmm. I'm an iron sharpens iron guy. If you're always asking for me and not, and you're dulling, right? Mm-hmm. If we're not giving back in, right? It's not the deposits in, withdrawals out. Yep. I can't continue to serve if you just, from my perspective, like, it talks a lot about the gray, and I lived my entire life to this point. There's a lot of people out there that will eventually listen to this podcast out in Posey County that will tell you, I lived in a world of gray. And there are 50 shades. There's a movie, right? 50 Shades of Gray. No, that was quite right either. But, I lived in it. And, it was every day I wake up and my standard had changed because, you know what? This is a gray area. I'll go here. Black and white, there's a hex color for it. Mm-hmm. And there's one. And white, there's one. And we have to have standards that, it goes back to the first podcast of, we have to be clear, we have to be transparent, we have to know where we're going, and how we impact each other in the room. And if not, I love that you want to be here, but if it doesn't energize me that you're here and I energize you that you're here, maybe this isn't the place.
Yeah. So true.
So what was the question again?
How important?
How important?
How important? Well, it's
important.
Yeah, it's your business plan. It's like if you don't have non-negotiables, your core values. Mm-hmm. Like I have another client that just went through this whole strategic planning thing, and then it comes back, and at the end of the day, you know what? We want to change our identity. We want to change everything about. Like, okay, well, what's your strategic plan say? Mm-hmm. Like, everybody wants to do this strategic plan of where they're going without first doing self-evaluation of who they are today. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The hard part is looking in the mirror and looking on the other side of your leader mirror and being able to find, what are my non-negotiables? Every decision that I make must go through my core values.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Every decision.
Every decision.
Yeah.
Yep.
The minute we start to go, well, maybe this time I'll let that one slide. We're in gray.
Yeah.
And people see it. Yes. Like, brands are what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's not a logo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, they say they do all this stuff and they have this transformation, but man, have you ever tried to talk to them? And have you ever talked to the people that work there? They're miserable. Mm-hmm. Like, it only takes one of those to impact $100,000 marketing budget.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? And then your vision is where you want to go, and for most is a lofty goal, if you will, right? This when I get everything complete, hopefully in 5 years, not this year, we will have reached this destination. Well, the mission is, how do we operate daily to strive to understand what role clarity is that we are doing daily to get to the finish line, our vision. And then when we get to the vision, then we get to vision again. But it's not that we actually, the vision isn't working. It's like, are we living what we set out to live in the first place? Or it's just hard now,
Right.
and I'm going to change.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how important is it? It's the bedrock of which you set up your skyscraper. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if you want to be 50 stories off the ground, you better have some real strong non-negotiables and a clear path so that when people walk in the door, they know how to operate daily, which is the mission. They know how they are personally going to plug into it. They need to have a cultural operating system that they, you know, that they know that they can come in and they can speak, you know, that you're lighting a fire in them, not under them every day. And that when we all work together collectively, we get to the finish line. And then we get to celebrate, and then we get to define what version 2.0 looks like.
Yeah.
Instead of 1.0 over, you know, 1.1.2.3, like, let's just get through one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's get there instead of, oh man, this is tough. Like, it's like the gym. You go to like, everybody gets this gym mindset that the gym is going to save them. Like, I have this vision of I'm going to be great and I'm going to go to the gym. You heard this, you know, B&I. Like, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to spend $100 a month. And then I walk in and I walk over to the treadmill and I do my little treadmill and I see some people doing bench press and then some people are on the row machines and, you know, and then there's a nutritionist over there and then there's a chiropractor over there and then there's a spin class over there. And, okay, why did I come to the gym? Was it literally just to get my cardio up and lower my blood pressure? Was I really looking to get to like 14% or 11% or 6% body fat? If you think you're just going to get a gym membership and not be able to have a plan to get to 6%, I don't even know if you can get to 6% body fat. That sounds amazing right now. I can remember when I was 190 and, you know, back to my high school weight and all that. But it took a lot of work, like macro counting, you know, the 10,000 steps, the all of it. But when I didn't stay intentional with that game plan, boom, it's here. It's right back in my face. So if we don't have that, we don't have the, like, we got to know that we got to have people holding us accountable. And what are they holding us accountable to? It's our mission, vision, core value.
Yeah.
You know, a unique selling proposition and like, we don't even, like, mission, vision, core values are very, very, they're the bedrock. But if you don't know your USP, your proposition statement, and then really, like, whom are you serving? What's your primary and secondary avatar? And what are their demographics and psychographics, and how does all of that solve a pain point? Whew. That's called guiding light. And that's like once again, you got to have a beacon somewhere that's guiding you. And if you don't have all of that, you have a business plan that ChatGPT spit out that's like everybody else's. Or you just went and bought a business plan and said, now I have to have people plug into it. Who are the right people that I plug in here? Like, no.
I love how you say, like, the core values, they're the bumpers that you put in your life. Like, and when you hit a bumper, no, it doesn't feel good, right? Sometimes you might lose. In the short term, you might lose something. You might lose maybe an opportunity, maybe something else. But in the end, you gain. Because if you continue to stay within those core values, in the long run, you have stayed true to who you are. And your team sees a constant, consistent pathway forward and sees somebody that, even though we bump up against all these things that are thrown our direction and all these opportunities, but they don't necessarily align with us, they keep going. Or they're given the opportunity to say, you know what, this just showed me, like, maybe this isn't where I need to be. And so they exit. And that's fine too. But I think I see those core values as like the bumpers that you put in an organization, in your life, all of those things. Like everything bumps up against it. And like I said, sometimes when you do run up against them, it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel good. It's really tough. And it makes you want to go back to that, like the vision board and the, like, oh, okay, like, but then the problem is you just weakened your organization. You just weakened who you were as a person, and you devalued yourself.
Yeah.
It's just a death by 1,000 paper cuts mindset. If I let this one leak here and that one leak there,
Yeah.
and like we didn't just cut off the arm and bleed out. We just slowly but surely over time eroded everything that we had worked so hard and everything that we were so excited about, because guess what? It got a little difficult.
Yeah.
And I had to make a tough decision. I had to let somebody else know that I really valued, appreciated, and understood. Like, I really want to support the individual, but this isn't in our organization's best interest today. Like, we can't do it. It doesn't match these. And, at the same time, your core values, if people aren't, like, if you have, like, holistic, meaningful, like, valued core values that are inside the office, and then somebody is in there, and I'm sure I'll get all kinds of like somebody's in here that like, and they go out there and live completely like we're talking about 180 degrees the other way.
Yeah.
We don't have the strength as a leader to go, I'm sorry, like, I see where you're at, but there's once again, that fight for the highest possible good of those you lead. For the best way to ruin a good employee or get somebody to not believe in our core values is to let somebody not live our core values.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So if you're not going to hold them accountable, then I'm going to sway here. And then we have the whole train, like now the snowball's just going down the hill.
Yeah. I'm a visual person. And so as I think about core values and mission and vision, core values, Jared, as you said, is bumpers, but I also see it as like the foundation. And a foundation cannot be changed once you have a building on it. And so you have the foundation of the core values, and then you have the mission, and the vision is the actual building. And vision, as you mentioned earlier, can change depending on where you are. If you hit that mark in 5 years and now your vision needs to change, due to where you are in your circumstances and your business, but the core values have to always stay the same. You can change the structure a little bit and do additions and things, but you can't rip out pieces of the foundation and expect that building to stand.
No. Yes, it's a great visual, for the listeners. Like, once you get it down and the footers are poured, like, there's some massive work that needs to be done to build on, how that all integrates together, structural integrity, all those. Like, I add the addition, I don't just go pour another footer. Like, it has to be secure to the other one.
Yeah.
And we have to integrate those, and it has to have a plan. And then if not, we got to tear that whole thing back out and start all over again. And sometimes that's just where we got to be.
Yeah.
Is to tear it all down and go. Like, I'd love to be able to change my logo, and I'd love to be able to change this, and I'd love to be able to change that. But how about I honor the past right now and go, where are we? Objectively, where are we? I'm going to get all my people in the room, and I'm going to help me create not my core values, but our core values.
Yeah.
How are we going to then take those core values and shape them into a vision of where we can go? And then how are we going to live those core values through daily practices, the mission, and hold each other accountable to those non-negotiables? That's amazing. Yeah. It sounds amazing, but the hard part is when you're 9 months in, and guess what? Everybody else's vision wasn't what you visioned, and you just did it because you wanted to just get done with it and whatever else, and you weren't being, you were protecting the group, and I kind of like that core value. It's not my favorite. Like, were you upfront, and were you fully transparent, and were you fully where your feet were at in that moment, or were you transactional and let one or two things slide? And everybody's like, Shawn, you're an absolutist. Like people can't live this way.
Yeah.
I'm like, actually, the more gray it gets, the harder it is,
Yeah.
because if you can't define the normal operating system, things get manic. Like real structure actually saves us time. It's the thing I fight against the most now is trying to do another thing, because I already know that I would have enough on my docket and my plate to last my son, my daughter, and probably my grandchildren if I really looked at it objectively. Like, here's the amount of progress and generational success that I really want.
It's good stuff.
But yeah, we're at an hour.
Yeah.
We are.
Thank you again, Shawn. An hour goes by fast.
It does.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Thanks again, Shawn, for joining us and for this studio, for allowing us to use the studio.
Absolutely.
And I said
Thank
earlier,
you.
I don't think it was during the first podcast, but he has such an amazing radio voice. I have a face for radio, and Shawn has a voice for radio. So anyway.
Yeah, the face is definitely over the years of all the stress. It's it's already gray, it's already wrinkled up, standing out in the sun. Hey, I'm not wearing sunscreen. Or you don't wear sunscreen as a coach. You just get roasted, and you go back into the office and you have a week, and you're like, oh, I'll recover, and then Saturday at 5 o'clock, you're already roasted again and looking for the shade. But yeah.
Well, I think we're excited to start seeing that sun again around here, though.
Oh, please.
No, absolutely.
Please. Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you all for
Thank
listening
you.
and tuning in, watching. And again, thanks to Shawn and the Extend Group. And we will catch you in the next one. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.